10 p.m. local time here in London, England, as we have the London Knights taking on the Sioux Falls Sparrows, the second time these teams have ever met, and it was only almost a year to the day. Last year in 2020, it was the 15th of March that they met in Season 14. It is now the 7th of March that they meet again. London at 3-3 coming in. Sioux Falls coming in at 1-5. I'm Andy Hamilton. Joining me today in the booth is Josh Circle. Josh, Sioux Falls got a win last week, and London did as well.
Yeah, they sure did, Andy. I hope you're ready for a jolly good show today. I know I am. London knocked off one of the last unbeaten, St. Louis, last week in a fantastic game. And, of course, Sioux Falls, who had been winless heading into their game with Florida, gave up a 76-yard touchdown on the first play of the game and somehow managed to pull that one out to get their first win of the season. I think we got a great matchup. Both teams, both quarterbacks, as a matter of fact, bringing a lot to the table here. For Sioux Falls, Julian Tyree, the veteran, the 11th-year pro, did not have a pick last week, a big reason why that team was successful. And then Angus McLean in London, who seems to have a good throw for every bad throw that he puts out on the field. I can't wait to see which one of these quarterbacks is going to show up on top tonight.
Could be high-flying, could be an offensive battle. Also some defensive stars to recollect. Nick Fargo, 4th in the league this week in tackles coming in. And William Davidson, 1st in sacks and tackles for loss. And then you have 2 defensive touchdowns from Brandon Ewing and Barry Barkley on the London side, but they will start on offense, and we are underway from Queensway. Return for the Knights is still on his feet. Oh, and shouldered down at the 24, and that is where we'll bring out this offensive unit. And Josh, you were talking about him. Angus McLean, 2 touchdowns, 3 interceptions last week in a win.
Yeah, he had some real trouble early. Both of those 2 of those 3 interceptions, early in the first half, but then really settled in, got the chains moving. Did throw a pick in the fourth quarter, but his defense bailed him out.
We'll see what they have to do today. We also have the back that receives the most passes, and they'll start by getting it out to him. Robert Merrill will pick up a yard on that one.
Yeah, a little bit of a surprise to see them go to Merrill this early. I don't think he had more than 3 touches in the first half last week against St. Louis. They saved him for the second half, and he came out really fresh, ripped off some big runs early in the second half, and ultimately found the end zone on their first drive of the second half that helped pace their victory.
Only has 71 carries. That's the least for any halfback in the league. But they use him in the passing game. They go to the air again, and that is first down yardage out to the 37 there. Saren Storm, first grab of the day.
Storm, a third-year pro, 6'1", 215, and McLean just found him on a slant. So far, this Sioux Falls defense playing very loose. A lot of room for the receivers out there to run the routes and get open.
Saren Storm only had 1 catch last week. He's already matched that here on 1 play. McLean floats one, caught by the tight end. First down yardage there. Benji Matson moves the chains again.
And you can see all the room that Matson has underneath. And it seems like Sioux Falls is just backing up to the line to gain and hoping to run downhill on whoever happens to catch the ball. Giving a lot of ground here to this London Knights offense in the early goings.
Sparrows defense looking to play some man here against these receivers. Single back is Merrill. McLean to throw again. He will dump it out to Merrill out of the backfield with some room. Merrill up the sideline, spins, and he's all the way down to the 41. Another first down for London.
Yeah, and Merrill, not only the running back, but also their leading receiver last week, had 10 catches, and they had a pretty good average, too, a 4.9 a pop. He is going to be a focal point in this offense in the early going, it looks like.
Well, and when you man up, the linebacker usually draws the halfback, which is usually a mismatch. They'll hand it to Merrill. Merrill with room. Merrill was 1 block away from the end zone, and he outran his fullback, but it's still first down yardage.
And Tony Phillips, the non-contract tight end, had a great block on the seam there. Took the cornerback out of the play and really opened the lane there for Merrill. Big reason why that run was so successful.
He outran Corey Tuff, the fullback. If Tuff would have landed 1 more block, Merrill might have been in the end zone, and it might have been 6 for the Knights. Instead, they will line up here, 1st and 10. McLean, dump off to Merrill. A beautiful play out to this outside. They are using Merrill as kind of a safety valve to relieve some of the pressure.
Well, they went right to Merrill. I think that was McLean's first read on the play. And look how fast McLean gets rid of this ball. One step, boom. And McLean manages to get a block. And another big gain there by Robert Merrill. This London offense is humming in the first drive of the game.
Absolutely. Down to the 17 inside of the red zone. London knocking on the door on their opening drive. Angus McLean, 5 for 5 on this drive. Hasn't thrown an incompletion. He'll give to Merrill. Merrill popped at the 18.
And that was just a good job by A.J. Levy, who came down from his strong safety position to play the run, managed to clog the lane there for Merrill, and his teammates were able to swarm and actually make that a TFL.
First negative play here for the Knights, right there at the 17. It'll bring up 2nd and 11. Short drop for McLean, dumps it out to Merrill. Merrill tries to spin. He'll pick up a couple.
And nice to see McLean go back to the air on 2nd down here, which brings up 3rd and 7. You've got points lined up with Jack Lewis comfortably within range here. You don't want to do anything too crazy. It'd be nice to get 7 yards for the first down, but it'd be even nicer to get 3 points.
Have to be careful with this strong secondary for Sioux Falls. They are going to line up in some man against a gun straight. McLean on the slants will throw, and they're going to give him the first down yardage there. Siren Storm again.
Yeah, McLean finding Storm early, and I'm almost surprised that route worked because it looked like all 3 receivers on the right side ran the same route. And Storm, if I remember correctly, was the middle receiver there and just turned and made the catch and had a ready-made first down as soon as he had the ball in his hands.
3-4 look here out of Sioux Falls. They will give to the halfback off this left-hand side. It's the backup, Max Strong, who gets down to the 6.
And it looks like Fuentes made that tackle there and could very well have saved a touchdown. Had a gigantic hole at the first level for Merrill to run through, but Fuentes manages to come over from his inside linebacker position and make the tackle before Merrill could find the end zone.
Yeah, Max Strong still out on the field. They will give it to him, and he is going nowhere. Right there immediately to make the play was James Kelly, the defensive end.
And I wonder if on 3rd and goal, we will see London go back to that swing pass with Robert Merrill that we saw so much of on this drive, Andy. Very successful here. Why not take one more shot at it? And then if it doesn't work out, you land it, you stop it in bounds and just put it up for 3.
Merrill is sidecar right to McLean. Back in the game. 3 wide for Angus. Pressure coming from Sioux Falls. Angus moves in the pocket but cannot evade. The incoming rusher, Alex Parker. The outside linebacker drops him at the 11.
And that's a great rush by Parker. The pass rush for Sioux Falls finally coming alive. And I think this is a pretty good sack by McLean, too. That's not there. Hold the ball. Don't force a turnover. Give your team a chance to get 3 points on the board. And that's exactly what McLean did.
Yeah, absolutely right, Josh. Doesn't throw into errant coverage, just holds on to the ball, takes the points that they do have, and they will add 3 as long as Jack Lewis, the rookie, first-round pick, can put this one through to try and put them on top of the Sparrows. 5:05 to go in the first. The kick from Lewis is up and through from 28. And the London Knights take their first drive right down the field and put 3 on the board.
Nice to have to be feeling good at that point. Now, Julian Tyree, who had a you don't want to say a game manager type of game, but he did manage the game very well, took care of the ball, no turnovers, but now is going to have to get some yardage, and if nothing else, keep his defense off the field for a few minutes.
Yeah, long drive for the Knights took up nearly 6 minutes of time off the clock. It was 13 plays, 65 yards. And the field goal from Lewis puts them ahead, and Sioux Falls will now try and answer. A long-time return man, A.J. Levy, will bring this one up and out to the 24-yard line, and that is where we'll see Julian Tyree, and we'll run through the Sioux Falls offense. Julian Tyree, Colin Hart is the halfback, Charlemagne Cornelius is the fullback first-round pick, A.J. Warren, Gunnar Lewis, Al Dillapre Sr. are the receivers, Noe Terrazas is the tight end, and Dusty Wilson, the trusty guard, leads the way for Colin Hart and this offense. Split backs to start out here from their own 24-yard line. They give on the first play to Charlemagne right up the middle, and he'll scoop up 3, the fullback, the first play.
And they will go to Charlemagne Cornelius quite a bit. Had 8 carries last week, and as a matter of fact, had a better rushing yard average than Colin Hart. I love to see the big boys get the football here, and it appears that Sioux Falls will accommodate us tonight.
Power for the Sparrows. The Knights have some good linebackers and defensive linemen. We'll see if they're up to the task. Colin Hart strings it out, but can't get past the line of scrimmage there. Jeff Gagne comes up to make the play.
Yeah, I think Dean Simi was in that tackle as well. Gagne blowing that right up at the point of attack, and now it's 3rd and long for Sioux Falls. This is exactly what you did not want on your opening drive after your defense gave up a touchdown.
4 wide, man defense on the outside. This is goal line. This could be bad for London. Here's Tyree. Pressure coming. Down he goes. That getting there to make the play was Sirach Black. He got the sack. Sioux Falls was facing a goal line defense in the middle of the field with 4 receivers, but the blitz rings home.
Yeah, look at all the rushers there. I count 7 white helmets getting right to the quarterback. And you said it, Andy. If they don't get to Tyree at that point, they're in big trouble. Fortunately, Sirach Black got off his block in a hurry, brought down the quarterback.
And that'll be something to watch there, Josh, throughout the game, is when London is on defense, if the goal line is called, if Sioux Falls throws any one of those passes for a completion, it has a chance to go the distance. Trailing speed from your linebackers and defensive linemen is not what you want, but when it comes down to defending passes like that, your goal line defense is usually aimed to guard, 3-4 yards, right? Not the entire length of the field, which Sioux Falls had to work with there. So really, as a play caller on the offensive side, if you see the goal line defense, you have to feel good about potentially scoring on that play if it is a long pass or a pass in many regards. London, though, rings home, gets the sack. They'll take over at the 46 after a good return, and McLean will start out of the gun. First throw there is caught across the outside. First catch for Dustin Zeck today.
Yeah, and just to follow up on your point, Andy, about the goal line defense for London, even against a team like Sioux Falls that does not throw the ball a lot, that sort of hangs their hat on being able to run the ball, you're putting a lot of faith in your secondary, putting them in man coverage in a situation where if that rush does not get home, you're looking at a big gain or maybe even 6 points.
Give left side here, nothing doing there for Robert Merrill, the former receiver turned halfback. And we'll run through this London offense. Angus McLean leads the way at quarterback. Robert Merrill, the halfback. Saren Storm, Vin Kalia, and Dustin Zeck are the receiving threats. Benji Matson, the tight end. And the kicker, Jack Lewis, rounds out this offensive unit.
McLean, in the box here on 3rd and 2. Excuse me, Andy.
No, you're fine. McLean will adjust at the line and gives, and Merrill not going to get there. The run for London has been stifled by this Sparrows defense so far.
And that is a big stop by Jonathan Camp, who managed to basically keep London out of field goal range on this play. It's 4th and 5 now, and it looks like they're going to have to punt.
Yeah, they will call on their star punter, 3rd year in the league for JT Delaney, 6'3", 175. He will stand to try and send this one away. Sioux Falls came after it, but Delaney smartly angles it towards this near sideline. It's going to bounce at the 9 and into the end zone. They could not hold it out. Down there was Zach Goodman, and Goodman could not get both hands on it to slow it down.
And if you're Delaney, you got to be a little upset at your special teams teammates there. Put it right where you wanted. Hit the 9-iron to perfection. Got a little backspin on it. But the momentum of the London player carried him into the end zone. That's a touchback.
Absolutely. 5-2 look here out of London. They give left side Colin Hart. Colin Hart breaks a tackle, and he is down to the 39-yard line. Rumbling, the small man getting it done.
And the run finally coming alive for Sioux Falls right when they need it. Great stand by the defense. And now Hart here on this run-heavy formation. He pulled the guard, and Hart is off to the races. Breaks the tackle, and that is a big gain and a big opportunity now for Sioux Falls to get some points on the board if they can string together 2 or 3 more plays just like that.
Yeah, that was Dusty Wilson, the guard they pulled there with a beautiful block to seal the edge for Colin Hart. Sprung that run. Perfect film if you are interested in being a guard to watch. They're going to pull him again. Another good block from Wilson, but Colin Hart gets ran down by Chad Rowland there.
Chad Rowland, 6'7", 300. It's a scary thought to think of him running anywhere. But that is exactly what happened. And the pulling guard again, and he got his block. But that block was not Chad Rowland.
Yeah, terrifying from Rowland. It's like a Mack truck coming at you. Heavy defense here again for the Knights. They are going to throw. Colin Hart with a little bit of space. That space is erased right there for the Knights to make the play. Was Barry Barkley coming downhill.
And Barkley, who had that big pick 6 in the game last week, making a big play against the run here. Tremendous TFL. That's a huge tackle in open space. That is a positive run, or a positive catch and run, excuse me, if Barkley does not make that tackle.
Just the 6th tackle for loss in Barry Barkley's entire career. And what a time to have it. 3rd and 12. Here is Tyree taking a deep shot in the corner route, and he pays the price. Down the seam, it's picked off by Barry Barkley himself. Tackle for loss and then a pick. What a sequence for the safety.
And Barkley's showing some versatility, some delayed blitz here. And Barkley, just playing center field, turns around, sees the ball coming right at him, says thank you very much. And a fair return on this, getting this ball into plus territory for the Knights, who are suddenly knocking on the door again.
Down here at the 48, this will be the last play of the first quarter. And what a play it was from Barkley. Let's see if the London Knights can convert it into points. They will give right side and a little bit of a shimmy. Merrill spins twice and has 9 on the carry. That will take them out to the 39-yard line, and that will take us to the end of the first quarter. The London Knights 3, the Sioux Falls Sparrows nothing. A tight battle so far. Neither team has pushed too far out in front. You're watching the Simulation Football League right here on Twitch. Andy Hamilton along with Josh Zirkle, Deuce Fennick along with Greg Soto on the stats for us today. Appreciate you, gentlemen, and Cameron Irvine behind the scenes pressing the 1s and 2. Barry Barkley's 3rd interception this season leads to the London Knights having the football, and Robert Merrill has it down to the 34 with a nice spin.
And Merrill's just shucking defenders off. This is an impressive piece of running. Just can't seem to bring him down.
Yeah,
2 defenders there, 3 defenders there. It doesn't matter.
Was a former receiver turned halfback. What I was going to say, Josh, is he's looked more like a halfback each season since that transition. And I think this one might be his best one. Nice throw there across the outside is complete to Saren Storm, who is making himself known today. Came into the game, with only 21 receptions, and I think that's his 3rd or 4th already.
And that is clearly a matchup that London likes right now. And this is the type of game where you would see that 3rd receiver come alive, or maybe the tight end. If you can get a matchup, you would not expect it against Sioux Falls here with the secondary that you mentioned. But Storm seemed to slip through the cracks here in the early goings.
3rd catch for Storm. They fire to Vincalia. That's incomplete. That is the first incompletion of the game for the London Knights. Angus McLean now 9 of 10, Josh. Unbelievable through 1 quarter.
Yeah, it's a tremendous start. And now watching him last week, he did an outstanding job of running the offense once he got comfortable. 2 picks early in his game against St. Louis. But once he settled down, he's as good as any quarterback that I've seen so far this season.
2 backs in the backfield, 3-4 look out of Sioux Falls. They give. Robert Merrill spins. Merrill down to the 10, the 5, and he's brought down at the 7. Terrell Davis runs him down from behind, but Robert Merrill puts the London Knights right on the doorstep.
And Merrill, just another outstanding run. And this is basically what we've seen. A spin move there. He lines up the defender, shucks off a defender there. And it's finally broken down. And if Terrell Davis hadn't tackled him, that's a touchdown. An outstanding game so far for Robert Merrill.
Downhill runner. When they put blockers in front of him, he's looked so much better today than some of the backs you see in the league that run some of the single backs or, with one full back. They put two in front of him. It's looked good. McLean fires on the out route. What a beautiful floater to the corner. And Dustin Zeck right at the pylon plants the sword in the ground for the Knights. They score again.
And this is what London's been dealing with so far this entire game. A lot of space underneath the coverage. The out route is there. And a little bit of a pick play there to get Dustin Zeck open. And Nathan Barrett just does not have a chance. He's trailing Zeck the whole way. A pretty simple touchdown when you get down to it.
Angus McLean, I cannot understate how beautiful that throw was. Him and Zeck were on the same page there with that floater. He put it into space where only Zeck could go get it. Dustin Zeck did so, and the London Knights push the lead 9-0. And with this extra point up and through, it's now 10-0 Knights on top with 9:25 to go in the second.
And if you're London, you couldn't really have hoped for a better start here at home. You knock off St. Louis, one of the undefeated teams a week ago, and you come in here at Sioux Falls. Obviously, still a very good team despite their winless record, and they finally got a win last week. And then you come in, you execute your game plan. McLean is on fire. You're protecting your quarterback. Robert Merrill's running out of his mind. The defense playing very well has not allowed Sioux Falls to get on the scoreboard yet. Everything coming up London Knights at this point so far, Andy.
London Knights indeed. Last time Sioux Falls was out, they had an interception. In the chat on Twitch, Irradiated Helix says, I just stumbled upon the SFL yesterday, and I am hooked. Amazing play-by-play, great games. This is awesome, and what I want to say is, if you are new to the Simulation Football League, we combine traditional sports, esports, and role-playing games all into one. Team strategies are being executed in real time by our simulations, as well as our real-life players that are competing on the virtual gridiron. For more information about the SFL, visit our website at simulationfl.net. The SFL, we put the fan in fantasy. Mr. Helix, good to see you again.
And that was Tyree on a quarterback sneak on first down, and you will see him run that on occasion, and you will occasionally see him bust that for a big game.
Colin Hart, another carry up the middle this time. Hart all the way down to the 38. I'm not sure how they didn't give him the first down.
Yeah, I don't agree with the spot there at all, but what a run by Colin Hart. Coming alive, and after watching Robert Merrill from the sideline, I'm sure he's anxious to get in there and get his team going, and that run's a good way to do it.
Split backs they give to Cornelius Charlemagne, and Charlemagne picks up the first down. Interesting to note, Josh, that to this point, Julian Tyree has thrown the ball twice. Only one of them was complete, and it was to Colin Hart. Not a single receiving threat on the Sparrows has caught a pass yet.
And now would be a good time. If you're looking to open up the offense at this point, you're down 10. You're in your own end. The spread look here. Let's see what happens on 1st and 10.
They're playing some man out of this goal line defense, which could result in some trouble. Linebackers on receivers. That throw is to the outside. It's tipped up, bobbled, and almost picked off. Wow, that certainly would have been something right there from the linebacker, Scarborough.
And Telemac Scarborough faithfully executing the dropped interception and then the incomplete pass celebration. Always great to see that in the SFL and anywhere football is played, quite frankly.
Interesting, Josh. In those formations, you want to target your slot receivers who are playing the linebackers. Unfortunately, that out route was well guardable for Scarborough. Here's the give. Colin Hart stretches it out, loses 2.
And Scarborough there atoning, just clogged up that outside. Great contain and allowed Dean Samee to get in there and make the tackle. Great dual effort by those two.
3rd and long for Sioux Falls. You'd have to imagine that they're going to throw it on this play. Colin Hart sidecar right to Tyree. Again, 5-down lineman, man defense. Watch the slot receivers if they're heading deep. Tyree not going to be able to get it off. Defense was coming in fast, and the guy who was able to get there to make the play was William Davidson, and he seems like he's always there.
Yeah, Davidson with just a great bull rush on his guard. Never really had a chance. It was backpedaling the whole time. Davidson, while still engaged with his man, managed to disrupt that pass from Tyree. And now Sioux Falls has to punt.
Davidson, 9.5 sacks, first in the league coming into the game. Plenty of tackles for loss as well, but the Knights get off the field and were able to avoid some dangerous plays there from Sioux Falls. Return here for the Knights out to the 35. They'll start with good field position again. And like you've said, Josh, momentum has all been on the side of the home team.
And if you're London right now, you don't want to change a thing. Angus McLean, not taking any big chances with the football. Hasn't really thrown the ball downfield much at all. Has found Robert Merrill with the swing passes. Merrill's busted some outstanding runs. If it ain't broke, don't fix it. And we'll see what London decides to stick with the winning recipe here.
2 in the backfield. They will give Robert Merrill his 8th carry off this side, and he'll pick up 6, now up to 47 yards.
And Sioux Falls just not getting penetration on the defense. Part of the reason why Merrill has been able to run free, and nobody's getting hands on him until he gets to the 2nd or even the 3rd level. And if Sioux Falls wants to get back into this game, it's got to start up front. Cam Frosby, Jonathan Camp, James Kelly, they got to get in there and be disruptive.
Here is McLean looking to throw. Out route there is caught. Benji Matson scoops up a couple of yards. It'll bring up 3rd and short.
And Sioux Falls did a better job there. The problem was McLean got rid of the ball so fast. There's just no opportunity to put any pressure on the quarterback. And Matson makes a great catch for positive gain. Not quite enough for the first down.
3 in the backfield, 4-2 look here out of Sioux Falls. They will give, and off the left side, that run is stymied there. Terrell Davis makes the play. It'll be 4th and 3.
And AJ Levy in there as well, and that's exactly what Sioux Falls needed to do. And they played the run very aggressively there. A lot of yellow jerseys converging on the line there, and just enough to get London to punt here.
Interesting to note, Sioux Falls, normally a very good rush defense. They did make the play there, but this season have struggled in yards per game. In season 15, they were 10th in the league, giving up 91 yards. Season 14, they were 4th. And from season 13 all the way back to season 11, they were top 5. This year, Josh, 120 yards given up per game for this Sparrows defense, 23rd in the SFL.
And if I remember correctly, there are only 24 teams in the SFL. That's
You are
next
right.
to last. And that's got to be something that Sioux Falls has to improve on if they want to get some more wins.
You are correct. They give up 401 yards per game, 22nd in the SFL on defense. Let's see if they can get some yards on offense. Colin Hart out of the backfield. Good jump forward. Scoops up 5 right off the bat.
Good catch and run by Hart, and a good throw by Tyree. Right on time, right in front of the receiver. Would like to see him, as you mentioned earlier, put one of those throws in the hands of his wide receiver, even his tight end, No Terrazas. Get the ball down the field, give his team an opportunity to assemble a drive.
Still hasn't targeted a receiver that's not named Colin Hart. They will give it up the middle. Cornelia Charlemagne popped right there at the 28.
And that was an outstanding hit. I did not get the number on that truck, but I suspect Colin Hart did. And now it's 3rd and 1. And so he's going to go back in the huddle and be told, most likely, go ahead and do that again. And try not to get hit so hard this time.
They've ran the ball 8 times, thrown it to Hart twice. They'll feed him again off this right-hand side. 6 carries for Hart, 3 for Charlemagne. They've ran it a total of 9 times now. Only thrown it 5, and both of the completions were to Colin Hart.
And Colin Hart, running out of the heavy set there, had 3 lead blockers to get only 2 yards. London, very grudging on defense today, not giving up much in terms of the run or the pass.
Goal line look. Here is the run from Charlemagne up the middle, and it'll take the safety to come up to bring him down. A pickup of 4, and again, those are the type of defenses you want to throw against.
And Cornelius finally getting a block, and then who comes up from the free safety spot? Marquise Reed, 8th-year pro, 6'2", 225. Again, making an open field tackle that probably saved a big gain.
4-3 look here out of London. They switch it up a little bit. Hart still in the backfield along with Charlemagne. They'll give it left side. Dusty Wilson on the pull, and Hart will get back to the line of scrimmage. No more. 3rd and 6.
And there's just nothing there. There are 4 jerseys for London, occupying that space where you're trying to get him into territory where he could go make a move. There's no territory there. London is occupying everything.
Linebackers here on the slot receivers. Watch those guys if Tyree can get some good blocks and get someone open. Short drop, quick throw, dropped. Dropped in the middle of the field by Noe Terrazas.
No, more like no hands Terrazas, with apologies, but that is unacceptable. With your team down 10, a simple slant. If he catches that, it's a first down, and quite frankly, he should have caught it.
Unfortunate drop, and they'll send Dustin Zeck back to return. 3:30 to go in the second. Knights on top 10-0. Sioux Falls trying to get this offense going. It has sputtered. They have not completed a pass to anyone but the back out of the backfield, and now they will have to punt it right back. Max Holt will send it, and Dustin Zeck will bring it up to the 33. London with good field position again. Their last drive stalled out, but so far today, Angus McLean has stayed clean. 11 of 12 for 84 yards and 1 score.
Yeah, just a tremendous job by this London offense. And right now, they've got to be thinking that they could milk all 3 minutes and 22 seconds off of this clock. Whether they run it or they throw it, they've got an opportunity to put points on the board and shut out Sioux Falls for the rest of the half.
4 receivers wide. They give right up the middle, and Merrill will get back to the line of scrimmage. No more. And let's run through this Sioux Falls defense for you. James Kelly, Jonathan Cam Frosby are the defensive linemen. Jose Fuentes, Alex Parker, and Nick Fargo are the linebackers. John Barnhart, Terrell Davis are the cornerbacks. Jay Ringgold, Nathan Barnett, and A.J. Levy are the safeties. 3 wide here for Angus McLean, who is in the shotgun against a 3-3 look. They will only rush 4. McLean unloads, and it's incomplete. Out of the reach of Saren Storm.
And Sioux Falls ran a twist there at the line with their 3-down linemen. Actually got pressure. And McLean, for maybe the first time today, had to throw the ball with somebody in his face. And Storm, that slant route had been working so far, but McLean, a little hasty on the throw there, could not find Soren on him on first down. The second down, excuse me.
It'll be 3rd and 10. Sioux Falls could use a stop here near the end of the second quarter. McLean dumps it out to Merrill. Merrill, couple men to beat, cannot get there. He will be wrapped up on the outside by Nick Fargo. It'll bring up 4th down.
And that's the kind of tackle you want to put on somebody that's been running all over your defense for most of the first half. Fargo just dropped a shoulder in him, put a full body weight on Robert Merrill as he descended toward the ground. That's a highlight reel tackle by Nick Fargo. And a nice stop by the Sioux Falls defense.
Here is the punt. A.J. Levy awaits the kick, which is coming there from J.T. Delaney. Stop and go, and Levy will get out to the 24, and this Sioux Falls team will come back out. And, Josh, the question becomes, at what point do you abandon the run game?
Well, running a 2-minute drill to find some points before the end of the first half would be a great opportunity, Andy. I think we would have seen Tyree put the ball in the air more at this point, but there's no time like the present.
3 receivers wide. Trips tight is the formation here for Sioux Falls. They will throw. Tyree stands in the pocket, throws a pick right into the hands of the waiting Knights defender, and it's intercepted by the inside linebacker, Jeff Gagne.
And Gagne not doing anything special, just minding his own responsibility. That's a textbook hook zone drop, and right there in front of the receiver, Al Dillapre Sr. Not a great thrown ball by Tyree. A lot of air under that. That ball's got to be in quick. And Gagne managed to give London another bite at the apple here at the end of the first half.
Woes for the Sparrows continue. London Knights already within striking distance of the rookie, Jack Lewis. See what they can do here on first down. McLean slings it near side, caught. 2nd down, they'll get out of bounds, and that will take us to the 2-minute warning. Angus McLean slinging it all over the yard, able to find Zeck there. 10-0, Knights on top. Andy Hamilton along with Josh Zirkle here live from Queensway in London, England. The Knights on top and in control, knocking on the door to try and add more points right before the halftime break. Merrill stands in the backfield. They'll give it to him, stretching on the left side, and he is stuffed. Sioux Falls reads that long developing run play really well. They get out there and make the stop. It's Fuentes.
And John Bonhart, the fifth-year pro, also involved in that tackle as well. A little too fancy on second down. Merrill's been doing great between the tackles. I'm surprised that they abandoned that for a sweep around the left side, and now it brings up 3rd and 2.
4-3 look here out of Sioux Falls, playing some two corners defense. Here is McLean going to dump it out to Merrill. Plenty of room out there. Merrill, the one that Sioux Falls did not account for when playing some of that man-zone combination, and he squirts forward to the 9.
And when you're in that nickel look, you've really got to have an answer for that flaring out running back. Whether it's your linebacker, whether your nickelback comes in and occupies that area, you've got to have somebody there. So far, Sioux Falls has not had that.
McLean dumps, and it's picked off! Intercepted! The Sioux Falls Sparrows make the play in the middle of the field. It is picked off. Wow, what a huge play by Johnny Summers.
And Summers, the non-contract linebacker there, manages to just take 2 steps backwards.
Tackle. That is a defensive tackle dropping into coverage. Even more impressive, Josh.
Yeah, on the zone blitz, and you will see that to try and deceive the quarterback. Sometimes it doesn't work, but that time it did.
Sioux Falls takes over at their own 4-yard line. Julian Tyree out to Colin Hart, has to jump to collect it. Stiff arms one and picks up a couple.
And the clock continues to run. It's going to be probably 40 seconds by the time they get another playoff. I wonder if Sioux Falls is just going to lick their wounds when they get into the locker room at the half and try and play it very conservative here. London does not seem to be calling any timeouts either. That surprises me.
That 4-yard completion there, Josh, doubled Julian Tyree's yards. 3 completions, 8 yards today. Cornelius Charlemagne out to the 16.
And Charlemagne, actually, that might have been Hart, but that was a terrific run to get into their first down. That does not seem to change the calculus for Sioux Falls at all this point. I think Tyree might be running his last play of the first half here.
Yeah, I got to be honest. That is the least amount of passing yards I've ever seen through one full half. 7 yards, and they will run the clock out and take it to the halftime breakdown, 10-0. And Josh, it was a very interesting first half from both teams. The Knights had their foot on the gas, but then right there at the end, the Sparrows defense came up with a turnover. The Sparrows, on the other hand, looked like their car battery was taken out, and they had no gas either.
Yeah, and they're waiting for a toe. Really, they need an arm at this point to get that ball in the air. You mentioned the passing totals, 7 passing yards. That is just not something I've seen in a game that didn't involve, a triple option type of offense. I mean, this is not something that should be happening in the SFL. You mentioned the lack of targets to Tyree's receivers. Gunnar Lewis, A.J. Warren, we haven't seen any of those guys so far in this game. And there's a rare throw there when they did try to air it out. That's what happened. Barry Barkley getting that interception. And Sioux Falls not able to take care of the ball. And from London, we saw a lot of this. Robert Merrill making moves, shucking defenders, and really just putting this London Knights team on his back. 45 yards on 11 attempts. And I don't know if anything changes in this, how Sioux Falls is going to be able to stop London. The pass rush did improve over the course of the first half, but still, this has been London's game from start to intermission here, and I suspect it will be from start to finish.
Sparrows will get the ball to start the second half. Usually halftime adjustments will take into account. We'll see what the Sparrows come out of the locker room with. Down 10-0. Definitely still in this football game by quite a bit. The Knights only up by 2 scores, one of them being a field goal, so 2 touchdowns would put Sioux Falls right out in front. So it's really anyone's game here as we start and line up for the start of the third quarter. Andy Hamilton along with Josh Zirkle. Sioux Falls in yellow, London wearing red. Knights got the ball to start this contest, so they will kick it to Sioux Falls to start this second half. And we are underway from London, England. Return here for A.J. Levy will come out across the 20, spin, still on his feet, and he will get out to the 29. Ever dangerous return man. You can't count him out of potentially getting the team right back into the game. Does have 10 kick returns for touchdowns, which is third most all time.
And right now, if you're Sioux Falls, you got to make a decision. Are you going to put the ball in the air? Are you going to put it in Julian Tyree's hands, who's already had 2 interceptions today? Or are you going to alternate between Colin Hart and Charlemagne Cornelius, who have both had their bright spots, but not doing enough to carry the offense at this point?
Hart picks up 7 to start this first drive of the second half off. Now 10 carries for Colin Hart and over 35 yards, and that will set them up for 2nd and 7.
And London right now has to be feeling pretty good. We had not seen anything too exotic from them. No twists, no stunts. Just lining up and smashing through that Sioux Falls offensive line.
Tyree will look to throw, slings out to Hart, and the London Knights were ready for that one. Had watched that in scouting, and Tanner Hendricks closes down on Colin Hart to make the play.
And that's what Sioux Falls needs to be doing against Robert Merrill. London literally putting on a clinic for Sioux Falls at this point. Great open field tackle by the 6th-year pro, Tanner Hendricks.
4-3 look out of London. 4 wide here. No one in the backfield for Tyree. Short drop, pumps once, fires across the middle. That one is deflected and incomplete. There was a chance there, and Sirach Black took it away, but those are the type of throws you want to see Sioux Falls make if they're going to get back into this game.
Yeah, they need to get the ball downfield, and great defense there by London. Marquise Reed right on the receiver, right when that ball came into the picture. In London, we're almost running out of superlatives at this point. Just playing an outstanding game of football so far on the defensive side.
Yeah, they have played very well. They will try and keep that up as this punt is sent away. Max Holt, his 5th punt of the game, and Zach will return this off the right-hand side out to London's 36. Great field position for the Knights to start this second half.
And you do not want to take your foot off the gas at this point if you're Angus McLean. The game plan has been working very well. Everything you've done in the first half needs to stay on the agenda for the second half. Make Sioux Falls try and beat you. So far, they haven't done that yet.
Yeah, he was 13 of 16 until he threw an interception to end the first half for this Knights offense. Now, 82% completion percentage, the 1 touchdown, the 1 pick, and an 88.2 QBR. Finds Merrill out of the backfield. Merrill spins back inside, has first down yardage, and is across midfield to the Sioux Falls 49.
And remember, a few plays ago in the first half where Fargo laid Merrill out, well, that time Merrill just made Fargo miss. That screen pass once again there, and it's hello! Outstanding spin move by Robert Merrill to get his team into, I believe, plus territory.
New set of downs here for the Knights. Angus McLean leading this offense back out. Saren Storm, 3 catches in the first half. Zek with 3. Matson with 2. Dustin Zek had the touchdown catch on the outside. McLean, shotgun snap, has to float in the pocket, throws back across his body, and it's the first catch for Vin Kalia, good for 6.
Kalia finally getting to the stat sheet, and McLean showing a little dance move out there. Just a little sidestep to the right. And that Sioux Falls pass rush is starting to come alive. They're getting pressure on McLean, but so far McLean has not been holding on to the ball. The first and even second options have been there.
McLean, 5-step drop, going to float one deep across the middle, tipped away, incomplete. Out there in coverage was Terrell Davis.
Yeah, Dustin Zach feeling like he should have got that one. I think he did get a hand on it. But nonetheless, great defense by Terrell Davis. And that brings up just what Sioux Falls needs here, a manageable 3rd down with 3rd and 4.
Chance to get off the field for this Sioux Falls Sparrows defense. 3 wide here for McLean, 2 in the backfield. Nickel look out of Sioux Falls. The Sparrows only have 2 linebackers in. They'll only bring 4. McLean, pressured by the 4, has to dump it out. Merrill has to collect it and falls out of bounds at the 44. No damage for Sioux Falls despite the good field position for London. Their defense stands up.
And again, Angus McLean vacating the pocket. That Sioux Falls defense getting there. I think that was James Kelly who came with the bull rush around the right side of the defense, that was. And that was good enough to get McLean's throw off target, and Merrill getting out of bounds short of the line to gain.
Snap back kick angled towards the far sideline. It is going to bounce at the 8, bounce at the 2, and this one is taken into the end zone for a touchback. London special teams cannot help out JT Delaney to save their life.
And that's the rookie, Emmanuel Blackman, and that's a rookie caliber play on special teams. Actually had that ball at the 2 and was coming in at an angle. Should have been able to pull up or do some kind of tightrope move to save that ball from going into the end zone. But as it stands, it's at the 20-yard line for Sioux Falls.
Sparrows going heavy here to start this drive from the 20, and Colin Hart will take it right up the middle, and he'll rip off 6 to start this game.
And I believe that is Colin Hart's 10th touch of the game. Doing much better than it was last week. It already has 41 yards, averaging about 4 yards a pop. That's good enough in a vacuum to move your offense, but not good enough when you're down 10 points here in the third quarter.
They give Hart again. Hart right up the middle, and he has first down yardage. The SFL broadcast team is looking to add new talent to our ranks of broadcasters. Applications are being accepted now to try out for either play-by-play or analyst broadcast positions. No prior experience is required, just a love for the game and a desire to succeed. The application can be found on our website at simulationfl.net/broadcasting. 1st and 10, Sioux Falls now with a new set of downs. They'll give Hart stretching right, moves back inside, Hart one-on-one, and Marquise Reed makes the play at the 44. That looked like it could have spelled danger for the Knights D.
Yeah, Hart getting skinny at the first level and very nearly broke that to the sideline. And we will get a replay at it here. And just a little tiptoe move there through the tulips. And that gets one-on-one with Marquise Reed. And Reed, the 8th-year pro, managed to bring him down. And I don't think it's an exaggeration to call that a touchdown-saving tackle.
Not at all. Hart has the speed to get away, and if Marquise wouldn't have made that play, might have got away there. They will give it up the middle. No, excuse me, Tyree takes it up the middle himself and picks up 2.
And that's Tyree just probing the defense, giving them something else to think about. And it was a positive yardage play. And it does give Colin Hart a play off, if nothing else.
Heavy defense here out of London again. They'll give left side. Colin Hart stretches it too far east and west. Not enough north-south. He'll lose 2.
It's Dean Sami coming off the edge there. And shucks one blocker and runs around another. Corrals Colin Hart behind the line of scrimmage to bring up 3rd and long.
5 down linemen for the Knights, 2 in the backfield, 4 wide, playing man on the outsides. A chance for Sioux Falls here on 3rd and long. Tyree pressured, going to unload deep down the field. That one's tipped up and incomplete. He was going for A.J. Warren, and the defense for London made a play.
And Andy, we might have just seen why Sioux Falls has been reluctant to throw the ball down the field. Barry Barkley, who has an interception already in this game, very nearly came up with another one. Had a hand on it. And really just did not let Sioux Falls factor into that catch at all. An outstanding defense by Barkley and the London secondary. The Sioux Falls is going to punt again.
Max Holt on to send this one away. Kick is off, and the London Knights will field this one and take possession back over. And they'll go down at the 24, and that is where we'll see this offensive unit come back out. And for London, the offense, not necessarily a strong point, but not necessarily a weak point in their tenure as a franchise. 15th this season in points per game, 13th last season, 15th in season 14, all the way back to season 13, one of the best seasons in their franchise where they were 3rd in offensive points per game. Trying to keep that up here today. Here is the give to Merrill off this left side. He'll pick up a couple.
And Merrill got a nice block there from Corey Tuff, the non-contract fullback who sealed the edge. He managed to get Merrill into positive yardage. And that has been the difference, I think, between London and Sioux Falls, is that London is getting that extra block, that extra effort, that extra second to throw the ball. And Sioux Falls really has not, at least so far in this game.
Shotgun look here. McLean looking to fire across the middle. Caught. And that is good down to the 31. Another couple yards for Vincalia, his second grab of the day.
And again, McLean throwing from a clean pocket. And Sioux Falls working hard. They're trying to get to the perimeter there. But that is just nothing doing for that Sioux Falls front four. And Angus McLean continues to deal at home.
Give on the counter here. Merrill not going to get the first down there. Wow, what a play to come up into the hole and make the tackle there from John Barnhart. It saves the first down, although if I'm London, I'm thinking about challenging that.
Yeah, another not great spot there for Robert Merrill. And that's going to be 4th and inches. Credit where it's due. A great tackle by Barnhart. And that is going to be enough to force London to punt the football.
Punter is on, and sends this one away. And A.J. Levy will bring it out to the 31-yard line. Sioux Falls now with some good field position as we go back and forth. And let's see if they can counter with some points.
And as we're looking from the stats by our friends Greg Soto and Deuce Fennick, we see that there has still not been a reception from a wide receiver or tight end so far by Sioux Falls. Let's see if that changes on this drive.
3 in the backfield, 5 down linemen for the London Knights, 2 linebackers. They'll give Colin Hart off this left side, and Hart will pick up a yard.
And the other element you have to consider here, Andy, is that even as you don't throw it and continue to run the ball, you're taking away opportunity from yourself. That clock continues to tick away. We're now at less than 15 minutes remaining in this game, and Sioux Falls has yet to put a point on the board.
And this is the formation to take the chances out of. You got the one-on-ones on the outside. Your slot receivers are one-on-ones with the safeties. Tyree here stands, floats one deep down the field, and it's a one-on-one that's deflected again. A.J. Warren the target, but right there to make the play was Brandon Ewing this time.
Yeah, Brandon Ewing, tremendous play, using that athleticism to knock that ball away. And I was surprised. It looked like Sioux Falls was getting the matchups they wanted with their slot receivers against London's linebackers. Instead, they opted to go for the deep route.
And face against Ewing here. Tyree stands, floats on the corner route, picked off again. Short throw is intercepted, and the London Knights defense makes another play. Brandon Ewing, another pick for the London Knights today.
And after that last play, Tyree decides to go right back to Ewing, and it's A.J. Warren again. They're trying to get him the ball, but Ewing is just not having it. An outstanding interception, and really an encapsulation of Sioux Falls' day here in jolly old England so far.
Yeah, significantly underthrown football, and you saw the slot receivers were running outs there, which actually plays to the linebacker's strengths in one-on-one, which is not having to stretch the field. If you send those slot receivers deep, you're asking a linebacker to carry with them in coverage. Unlucky for the Sparrows. Here's the give off this right side, and Merrill will lose a yard. You got to be careful here, right at the edge of field goal range.
Yes, but at the same time, you don't want to fold up the 10 either. Sioux Falls is probably going to get 2 or 3 more possessions out of this, and you could see a little talk from A.J. Levy there. Nobody's going to tell him what the scoreboard says at this point.
They will give on the counter, and Merrill loses another yard. Now back to the 36.
And that is Fargo again putting a shoulder into Robert Merrill. Give it up for the Sioux Falls defense. They are trailing, but they are fighting as well. They're working really hard to get their offense the ball back.
4 wide here. 3-4 look out of the Sioux Falls Sparrows. Again, an opportunity here for some of the slot receivers. McLean looks to throw down the seam. Tipped up and incomplete. Out of the hands of the receiving threat. Tried to one-hand it. Probably a poor choice there, and Paul Hyder could not come down with it.
Hyder, the non-contract wide receiver, going up against John Barnhart. And this is a great way to get your wide receiver injured. You could see Barnhart somehow knocks down the ball and puts a shoulder into Paul Hyder. Very impressive multitasking there by the Sioux Falls Sparrow.
And London will have to call on JT Delaney again to try and pin this Sparrows team down inside their own 10. Delaney will angle towards this near sideline, has had some struggles with the guys fielding his catches, and he'll send this one a little bit shorter, and Levy will field it at the 14.
And a great adjustment by Delaney to actually pull that ball up a little bit. As you mentioned, probably 7 or 8 yards shallower than his previous efforts, keeps it out of the end zone, and keeps Sioux Falls behind the 20-yard line as they start this next drive.
Yeah, they'll start at the 14, which is about 6 yards difference from where the Knights had been putting it earlier, which was into the end zone for a touchback. 3 wide here, single back offset to the right is Colin Hart. Tyree stands, floats, caught, complete for first down yardage. One of the first times we've said that today, and that completion is out there to Noe Terrazas.
And Terrazas ran right past the face of Jeff Gagne, and that was his ball. Really made a half-hearted effort just trying to swat the ball away as Terrazas made the catch and turned upfield.
Great note from our statistician, Greg Soto. That was one completion there, and Tyree will fall incomplete there. Again, pressure from Roland right up the middle, but that one completion is still not as many as Tyree has thrown to London Knights as he has to Sioux Falls Sparrows receivers. Colin Hart, though, does have 4 catches out of the backfield.
Yeah, and when this game is over, we're going to wonder what the calculus was behind that. Whether it's something with Tyree or something with the receiving core or something they saw in London's defense, or maybe just faith in Colin Hart. And they're really not out of this yet, but this is the time you want to be putting the ball in the air as there's a flag on the field.
Flag there. I have a bad feeling that that is going to be holding, but coming in to make the play there on the pressure was Chris Joseph, and let's check with Ref 62. That is going to be a hold against, that is against the defense there. Wow, and that will give Sioux Falls some free yardage. Tanner Hendricks called for the penalty.
And that's unfortunate. A chance to get off the field, take more time away from Sioux Falls, letting the cement dry on this outstanding effort you've had at home at this point. That is really a critical penalty at this juncture.
2.8 the rating for Julian Tyree. I will have to check on what the worst QBR in an SFL game is. Handoff right side, Colin Hart not able to get through the first tackle. He'll get back to the line.
And there's Ewing, who managed to wrap up Colin Hart. Took him at the shoulders and couldn't do it. It managed to hang on for dear life like a kid behind a speedboat on an inner tube as he managed to bring Colin Hart to the ground.
3 wide here for Tyree. Single back is Hart. Tyree to throw again. Going to take a deep shot down the left sideline, and that is incomplete. Diving attempt for the interception there was Tanner Hendricks. Another one-on-one throw.
And that is probably the best throw that we've seen from Tyree so far, even though it's not complete. And Hendricks really has to lay out to get hands on this thing, and arguably could have, maybe should have brought that in. That is, in terms of getting the ball downfield, easily Julian Tyree's best effort so far.
Yeah, and you got to take some of those shots at this point. 4 wide here, 4-2 look, and this is where Tyree has to be careful because a nickel is more apt to defending a deep pass. Tyree going to take that deep shot. Forget what I said, not apt at defending that one as the Sparrows make the collection there. Gunnar Lewis cashes in down to the Knights' 37-yard line.
Gunnar Lewis, his first reception of the night here happening in the first quarter. They went right back to Tanner Hendricks. And Hendricks got fooled on the route, was trailing Gunnar Lewis the whole way, and managed to catch up with him as Lewis adjusted to the ball. A touchdown-saving tackle, but really a blown coverage by Hendricks.
Lewis had 98 yards last week when they beat the Florida Storm. 24.5 was the average. He goes big there and flips the field for the Sparrows. Give left side, Colin Hart will get back to the line of scrimmage.
And now London flirting with field goal range at this point as time is winding out in the third quarter. A field goal here obviously makes it a 1-score game, but now that you finally have some momentum on the offensive side of the ball, you want to press a little bit. You need 2 scores here And you want this first one to be as plentiful as it can be.
Nickel look, Tyree across the middle, deflected. Marquise Reed gets a hand on it. It'll bring up 3rd and 10. I think you need about 5 if you're even going to attempt the thing.
I think you're right. And Terrazas with another drop over the middle, not helping matters at all. And that brings up 3rd and 10. And if you were going to go to Colin Hart at this point, it's not a terrible idea. London's going to be defending that line to gain. You're going to have a lot of room underneath for a long run or even a swing pass.
I actually agree with you there. You do have man. Slot receiver on the top of the formation. Looks wide open for 5 yards. Here's Tyree. Pressure off the backside.
Wow.
Rings home. And Sirach Black has a huge sack, which forces the Sparrows out of field goal range.
And you mentioned the slot receiver, and Tyree has no chance to even look for him. This Black is in there in a hurry. Bull rush comes in untouched. And that'll end the 3rd quarter.
Through 3, 10-0 London on top of the Sioux Falls Sparrows. Boys in yellow trying to get something going. London trying to close this one out. Get your 4s up in the chat. Andy Hamilton along with Josh Zirkle, Greg Soto, and Deuce Fennick running the stats for us. Cameron Irvine in the truck producing today's game. Max Holt on to send this one away, something we've said quite a few times today. They do have the 3 interceptions. High bounce, and that goes back into the end zone. But, for a minute there, I thought Max Holt was going to have the play of the day.
It looked like it, and that ball bounced perfectly for JT Lane to just simply come under it and catch it. But again, and I don't know if it's this English turf here where it's designed for soccer and not football, but we're seeing guys having trouble stopping on the goal line there. And yet it's another touchback in the kicking game, this time for London.
3 wide for Angus McLean. 10-point difference is just 2 scores. A touchdown would make this thing a lot more difficult for the Sparrows. Here's a flip outside. Nice throw to Dustin Zeck. Believe that was the play they had the touchdown on. And that is good out to the 31.
And Zeck this time coming on, and I don't know if that was a straight out or maybe even just a corner route, but Zeck again finding space downfield and manages to stay in bounds as the clock continues to tick away on Sioux Falls.
Robert Merrill in the backfield. 3-4 look out of Sioux Falls. Counter to this left side, and Merrill will go nowhere. And London taking a lot of time off the clock. And you kind of said it, Josh, earlier in the game, but I think it's important to note is that I don't know if this clock has stopped rolling through the whole 3rd quarter. I think it just continuously rolled.
Yeah, 3rd quarter went by very, very quickly, and I think the 4th might very well do the same if London has anything to say about it. And Sioux Falls is actually getting penetration now. They're making their presence felt at the line, but it may be too little too late here for Sioux Falls.
Toss, and McLean has a first down. A.J. Levy with a big tackle, but not until the London Knights make it out to their own 46 and move the chains.
And Soren Storm, just an incredibly reliable threat. And look at the cushion that he's getting from Terrell Davis. You know what he's going to do. He's been doing it the whole game. You just can't give a guy an inside release like that, especially after he's had 43 yards on 4 targets, and I think he's run that exact same route 4 times.
Nice arrow route there from Storm to move the chains. 4 receivers for McLean. He stands, delivers on a deep corner route, and he pays the price. Erased there on the outside. Terrell Davis intercepts Angus McLean.
And Davis, after giving up that gain to Soren, actually playing deep third here, it looks like, and just makes an incredible leap. The Soren Storm trying to go deep. An interesting decision here if you're London. We have a chance to take time away from Sioux Falls, and Terrell Davis makes it pay. 4th-year cornerback, putting his team back in the game.
Yeah, I think Davis heard you talking about him, Josh, and said, you know what, I'll show you, pal. 2 in the back.
I hope not.
2 in the backfield. They will give to Cornelius Charlemagne. He picks up 3.
And still, we are seeing a steadfast refusal, almost, from Sioux Falls to put the ball down the field. And I think this game will ride or die on the back and legs of Colin Hart.
Split backs, one receiver on the field. London well prepared for this formation so far. Cornelius Charlemagne picks up 4 or 5 more. It'll bring up a important 3rd and 2 over-under, Josh, today set at 47.5. And I hate to say that confidently, I feel like we will hit the under.
I think that is a very safe bet at this point. And I would say, though, it has been a very interesting game. A lot of twists and turns, you know. M. Night Shyamalan's not falling off his lazy boy by any stretch, but I think it's been an exciting game nonetheless.
Give Colin Hart, no. Gonna mark him a few inches short. He looks like he's lying over the first down line, but who knows?
And we've seen spots like that all day where the runners have been apparently over the line and the ball has been spotted short. So at least they're screwing it up both ways. That's the best I could say about that.
Yeah, Max Holt on. The interesting part is Sioux Falls does not... they almost just don't feel like they even know the clock is running. Dustin Zeck, though, is off and running. He's still on his feet. He's across the 41 and popped at the 46, but a huge return from Zeck sets this offense up with great field position.
A very workmanlike return by Zeck. And I thought this was going to be another boilerplate punt return, but he shucks a tackle there and then manages to shake another defender off. And then a little spin move there for good measure. And Zeck putting his team on the loco to start this next drive. Very impressive return.
What I was trying to say, it almost feels like Sioux Falls does not even notice that there is a game clock. 7:49, 2 scores, and through 3 quarters, you haven't been in field goal range even once. Here is McLean, and he will just dump off and take whichever receiver he feels like choosing. Plenty of wide open options. He goes to Corey Tuff, though, for 2.
And Tuff does come up with the catch and does keep the clock rolling. That twist by Sioux Falls was not getting anywhere. So McLean had time to throw the ball. And I wonder if that was just an effort to get Tuff on the score sheet.
McLean, 5-step drop, stands in the pocket, delivers across the middle, tipped up. Oh, a huge athletic play there from the linebacker, Alex Parker. If he would have picked that off, that would have been a play of the week for sure.
And we've been talking about Tyree not throwing the ball down the field. Why is Angus McLean throwing it downfield? That swing route from Merrill was open in the right flat, nobody covering him. And McLean instead decided to chuck it into the middle of the field. Interesting decision there by the 4th-year quarterback.
Yeah, they have got away from that swing here in this second half of the game, which was working so well for them in the first. Gun straight for McLean, stands in the pocket, throws across the middle, caught but tackled well short of the sticks. It'll be 4th down, and London will have to punt again.
And that was the 2nd or 3rd time in the last 3 plays where Sioux Falls only sent 3 rushers. They had 8 in coverage, almost conceding the fact that they're not going to reach Angus McLean to get pressure on him, and instead applying the pressure to the backs and receivers, and that decision looked like to be a good one there.
Low snap, corralled by JT Delaney. Gonna angle this at the bottom of the screen. AJ Levy, not much room to work with, stays on his feet, and finally out of bounds at the 17.
And if you're Sioux Falls, the clock is not your friend at this point. You need to get the ball in the air, you need to score, you need to get a stop, and you need to do it again. And you could do that in less than 6 minutes, 42 seconds, but not much less than that.
Well, it feels like not much less, Josh. Honestly, they could do it with around 3 minutes left, but with the way the game has been going, it feels like you need more time than that. 3 wide for Tyree. Late blitz from the corner. He fires across the middle, wide open, and no, A.J. Warren did not come up with that. I thought he for sure had it.
Yeah, it looked like he was going to be able to bring it down. But again, Julian Tyree getting some bad news from his receivers. This is a well-thrown ball. It's got some zip on it. And Warren is there.
Dropped.
And that's just a drop. He heard footprints.
Unfortunate for Sioux Falls. They've had a couple plays like that where the pass has looked for sure and it has been dropped or knocked away or incomplete. And those are the type of plays that can really hurt an offense and stifle them into what we're seeing today, which is almost a shell. Free play, though, here. They'll dump it off to Colin Hart, but they will take the penalty and get the free yardage. And if you're London, you can't give up any free yards, Josh.
No, it's a really, really costly mistake there by London. But to go back to AJ Warren and that drop earlier, I think it's really difficult to put it on your receiver. And I know he has 5 targets today, counting that most recent drop. It's a very big ask for your receiver to get into the rhythm in the fourth quarter with the game on the line. And Warren needs to have some opportunity to make catches and make plays and run with the football before that. And Julian Tyree did not give that to him.
3 in the backfield. And that will set up 2nd and 5 for the Sparrows. Colin Hart right behind Cornelius Charlemagne. They'll give it to him off this left side, and Hart will pick up a couple. It'll bring up 3rd and 3.
And we'd like to say at 3rd and 3, the whole playbook is available to you, but Sioux Falls does not seem to be dealing with the whole playbook in this contest. That said, if you were going to throw the ball down the field, this is a fine time to do it.
Tight end flex, good formation here to try and see if you can get the slot tight end open at all. And a penalty flag.
That might have been Sioux Falls. He might have jumped.
Yeah, that's going to be a false start. Wow. Don't see that often. And they're calling it on Dusty Wilson, the guard.
Yeah, Wilson's had a pretty good game. We've seen him pulling and making some big blocks. And for him to do that in that spot by the second-year pro, that's disappointing.
Sioux Falls now faces 3rd and 8 after the 5-yard penalty. Linebacker on the slot receiver down here at the bottom. Tyree looking to throw. Slings to the outside, and it's deflected. Nice play there for London by Telemac Scarborough, cutting through and making the play.
And that's a matchup Sioux Falls should be winning. You got Dillapre Sr., 3rd-year wide receiver, on an outside linebacker. The route was there, but Scarborough was there too. Outstanding defense. And you saw the lunge for him to get the hand on the football on 3rd and long, and that just makes that penalty by Dusty Wilson even more costly. Going from 3rd and 3, having everything available to you, to having to throw the ball on 3rd and 8. It's just a very unfortunate sequence for Sioux Falls.
15th punt between these two teams, and that's the hard part, Josh, is when you have a linebacker one-on-one with your 3rd receiver, in theory, you want your 3rd receiver to go 20 yards down the field, make the linebacker try and keep pace with him, but instead they run a 5-yard out, the linebacker can sit on it and cut to make a deflection, and for the Sparrows, that we've seen that a couple times today.
And you take the speed element away from the matchup, and that allows an agile outside linebacker like Scarborough to go in and make a play like he just did.
Give left side here to Merrill. Merrill still spinning. Will pick up 3 when he looked like he was dead to rights in the backfield. He's had a really good game, potentially the best game out of anyone on the field today.
I would have to say so, and not from a performance standpoint necessarily, although he has hit the century mark in all-purpose yards, 50 on the ground and 56 in the air, but just as a reliable outlet for the ball. I mean, he has not had many TFL, many negative plays at all. He's always running forward.
London content to take as much time off this clock as they can. They feed Merrill off this left side. He'll pick up a couple more, and I think you hit it on the head there. He hasn't necessarily broken off the big play, but with McLean with 2 interceptions as well, those 109 all-purpose yards look really good.
Yeah, and you mentioned it earlier, talking about Sioux Falls historically from year to year, and their difficulty stopping the run this year. And we've seen that on full display here, and Robert Merrill has taken full advantage.
3rd and 4. Sioux Falls trying to get off the field, get the ball back for their offense. McLean under center will make sure he gets all the time off the play clock he can. Gives left side. Merrill stuffed. Not going to get there. That is a negative play. It is tackled by Jonathan Camp, who will set up the Sparrows offense with another chance to go at it.
And Camp did a great job getting off his block and getting an arm around Merrill and corralling him. And that was very close to being what we've seen from Merrill all day, another 5 or 7 yard gain around the outside. Jonathan Camp had different ideas. And fortunately, London's going to get another chance. Sioux Falls will get another chance here to put some points on the board.
16th punt between these two teams. Delaney on to try and pin Sioux Falls again. AJ Levy back to try and return. He will let it bounce at the 9, bounce at the 2, and go into the end zone for another London Knights touchback.
And Blackman not even trying. Emmanuel Blackman, the rookie, who is charged with flagging down that ball, probably tired of having the special teams coach in his ear on his trip back to the sideline, and just decides, maybe next week.
Blackman, part of that secondary, though, that's playing a really good game, so
yes,
could potentially be tired from running around and making deflections, which is what he's paid to do. Here is Tyree, fires now, and that is complete. Good for 9 there. Catch made on a little bit of a slant from Dillapre Sr. First time we've heard from him tonight, and he's against that linebacker. And they'll line up and try and run that again. Here is Tyree, once again, right across the middle, caught, first down yardage, and this is what we want out of Sioux Falls.
And Terraza came up with the catch there that allows his team to move the chains.
Tyree looking to fire again, floats over the top, and there's a flag, and that might be interference from the defense.
And not a great throw by Tyree there. Could have been a little more on target, but it looks like you're going to get some yardage out of it anyway.
Yeah, I think he might have, and this is just me theorizing, Josh, I don't know. He might have been trying to get it past those linebackers who are a little bit slower against those receivers. So by tossing it over the top, it only gives your receiver a chance to catch it. And just a theory.
Yeah, clearly he had the right idea, and after what we've seen from the first 3.5 quarters of not throwing the ball down the field, I hate to sound like I'm complaining.
Yeah, they did move very well there, and they're going to get that formation again here. It looks like safeties against linebackers, or safeties against slot guys this time. Here is Tyree, floats over the top, tipped away and incomplete. Nice play there on the defensive side, Brandon Ewing.
And Ewing making a questionable play there, just in the sense that if he does not get a finger on that ball, that's a touchdown. But Ewing, who has been very reliable for London so far, does come up with a play and brings up second down for Sioux Falls.
Goal line here against 4 wide. This is your shot if you're Sioux Falls. Send someone in the slot deep. Tyree stands in the gun. Hart off to his left. 3-step drop. Hart fires. Tyree!
Wow.
Got it! See you later, Gunnar Lewis. Oh, baby. Touchdown, Sparrows.
And you saw Tanner Hendricks come off of Gunnar Lewis to play that slot receiver that you just mentioned. And Lewis said, hey, that is fine with me. I'll just run down the field and see if I wind up with the ball. And Julian Tyree throws a perfect strike. Gunnar Lewis off to the races. And that's how you do business.
We've been waiting on it all day against that goal line formation. Called it out, what was it, the first or second drive there,
Yep.
Josh, of the first quarter, that London was going to set up Sioux Falls to have an opportunity eventually in this game. It took all the way down to 2 minutes in the fourth quarter, but Julian Tyree able to strike after an abysmal first 3.5 quarters, and Sioux Falls now within a field goal of tying this thing up with 2:08 to go.
And if you're London, and we see in the chat here, why are you running that defense on the 50? I think after you mentioned that, Andy, I don't think we saw that goal line defense again. I could certainly be mistaken, but we did not see that. It looks like Sioux Falls is going to outside here.
Maxwell Falk lines it up to try and send this onside. Turns it back around. High bobbling kick, and London collects it at the 39, and you really have 5 to 10 yards here if you're Sioux Falls that you have to defend.
Yeah, and that's always a curious decision. If you needed the touchdown or maybe more than that, and you absolutely had to have the possession, then I could see the onside kick there. But you're down a field goal. Field position matters here. You have all 3 timeouts, and you have the 2-minute warning. So a curious decision, I think, from Sioux Falls to make the onside.
2 in the backfield. Merrill will get the counter play running left, and Merrill is dropped immediately by A.J. Levy, and that will take us to the 2-minute warning. A one-score game in this one. The Sparrows have woken up as of late. The Knights trying to close this one out. We'll be back from London. Back here in Queensway, Andy Hamilton along with Josh Zirkle, Deuce Fennick, and Greg Soto running the stats for us today. London Knights up by 3, trying to close this one out. Give right side, Robert Merrill. Merrill jukes, cut down at the 31. From here, it would be a 47-yard field goal. Sioux Falls takes their first timeout. This next one, the biggest play of the game.
Yeah, we did see another great block there by Corey Tuff on the edge for another big Robert Merrill run. And if it's 3rd and 2 at this point, you're automatically running it, right? You're not putting this thing in the air. You're not taking any chances.
I'd throw a screen right here to the bottom of the field. 2 in the backfield. Merrill will get the handoff running left, and Merrill is tackled, and they're going to mark him short. That's a terrible spot. That is the worst spot of the game. But if you're Sioux Falls, you're thinking that's the best spot of the game.
I mean, that's the worst spot. We've had some awful spots. But his waist was on the line to gain. Look, the yellow line is unofficial. Fine. But we got to be more official than that. That is just unbelievable. But now, if you're London, what do? Do you go for it?
I would not. 2 in the backfield here. Merrill offset with Tuff. McLean under center. Play clock is at 8, 7, 6. McLean still trying to draw this defense offside, and he will take a timeout. Interesting. I like that move from London because the risk is so small and the reward would be so high.
Absolutely. And the timeout when you're up at this point is inconsequential. Go ahead and burn one. And we've seen both teams jumping off sides today. That's not a pie in the sky sort of wish to try and get a free 5 yards. There is some data that points to having some success potentially.
Chat wanted them to throw the challenge flag. We are under 2 minutes. You cannot challenge on the field. The booth would have to review the spot, I believe, is what they wanted to challenge. So London doing everything in their power to try and finish the game off with that spot that was given. They could not do so, and now the kick from Jack Lewis to try and extend this lead is up, and good from 46. London in front, 13-7, a 6-point difference.
And now if you're Sioux Falls, you have to have the touchdown. The field goal will not tie the game for you. And you watch this gorgeous ball by Jack Lewis fly through and make contact with the net. And that is perhaps an exclamation point on what has been, with one minor hiccup, an outstanding game from the London Knights.
Yes, the one thing I will say, Josh, which we could look back and kind of say, I'll get to it after this play. Here's A.J. Levy returning off of his own 4. 1:45 to go, and Levy brings it out to the 28. The only thing I will say is if Sioux Falls comes back to win this game, the only thing London can go in the book and potentially say is, hey, we really played with our food for, 2 to 3 quarters, where we could have scored 1 touchdown and put this thing away in the 3rd, or 2 touchdowns and put it away in the 3rd. And instead, we allowed Sioux Falls to live down by 2 scores through all of those quarters.
I think that's absolutely fair.
Tyree stands in the pocket, delivers across the middle on the slant to the 38. They do have 1 timeout if they need it. They need to get into the end zone. London not giving them the look that scored the touchdown earlier. Here's the toss, and that's deflected by Marquise Reed.
And clutch play by Reed, and Reed letting everybody know what's going on. And now we finally have Tyree throwing the ball. And Reed was going to drop back into coverage, and then that ball winds up hitting him in the shoulder. Very fortunate. I don't know if he forgot his assignment or recognized the play as it was developing, but he took an interception away there from Dillapre.
90 seconds to go here in the 4th. London has played some very heavy formations. They are in a 4-2 right now, which does help them. A nickel defense against this Sioux Falls 4 wide. And Tyree, short drop, quick throw, tipped away, incomplete. Will bring up 3rd down. Was trying to find Warren, and Barkley was there.
And you mentioned earlier, Andy, the slot receivers being uncovered. That time, Barkley, and I think Marquise Reed on the bottom of your screen, managed to go down there and cover those slot receivers and left London in what looked like a cover 1 or maybe a cover 0. Barkley coming up big on that play.
Nickel look again. This plays well for the Knights. 4 down territory for sure for Sioux Falls here with 1:27 to go. Tyree under center. London only brings 4. Tyree stands in the pocket, floats over the top, tipped up, and incomplete. Every one of the Sparrows receivers had a shot at it, and it'll be 4th down, biggest play of the game.
Lewis and Dillapre both had fingers on that ball. Neither could bring it in. London very fortunate that ball was not caught by somebody.
London Knights, one play to potentially win this game. They are in that goal line defense, though. Tyree in the shotgun with 1 wide. Here is Tyree, stands in the pocket, going to take that deep shot, and it's caught! It's caught! Across the 10, the 5! A.J. Warren has given the Sioux Falls Sparrows the lead! What a shot from Tyree!
What a ridiculous sequence of events, too. And we see Warren coming and making the catch. He's wide open. London is blitzing. They only have 6 defenders in coverage. And A.J. Warren manages to shrug off Brandon Ewing, who's had such a great game up to this point. And Warren finds his way to the end zone. And now Sioux Falls has a chance to take the lead for the first time today.
It was the first drive for the Sioux Falls Sparrows, Josh. We saw that look out of the London Knights defense, and I believe I said that's going to be an issue later in this game, and it comes back to bite the Knights as the Sioux Falls Sparrows in 2 plays have erased a 10-point deficit, scored 14, and have now, with 1:14 to go, taken the lead from the hometown London Knights. The crowd here at Queensway is shocked.
Shocked and silent, and they're not the only ones that are shocked, Andy. I'm just beside myself. And give credit to Julian Tyree. Outstanding throw. Saw Warren get open, put the ball right on the money. And Warren ran that straight to the underground. Unbelievable play. And now Sioux Falls leading this game with just over a minute to play.
If you are a Knights fan, the luck for you is that Angus McLean has thrown the ball well today, 22 of 29, 75% completion percentage, does have the 1 score, does have 2 picks, so he has to be careful that he doesn't throw any type of dangerous pass, but all things considered, does have the opportunity now to drive his team down on a game-winning drive here with 1:13 left to go, 2 timeouts. McLean floats across the middle, tipped up. Oh, there was one of the dangerous ones you want to avoid.
And we've been talking about Julian Tyree and his reluctance to throw the ball down the field. We've not seen that from Angus McLean either. And McLean now making his effort over the middle, and he's very fortunate that was not picked off.
We welcome those of you who watched Arizona defeat Fort Worth 20-13. This is Queensway and London, England. An amazing game that through 4 quarters was 10-0. The London Knights on top. Sioux Falls shocked them just moments ago with a deep touchdown to take a 14-13 lead. And now the London Knights are trying to fight their way back into it. They will definitely be in 4 down territory, do have 1 timeout, and now face a 3rd and 5. For Josh Zirkle, I'm Andy Hamilton, and we want to welcome you into quite the battle.
And if you are just joining us, you missed London trying to draw Sioux Falls offside with the hard count and then called the timeout, and that timeout missing now is going to come back to haunt London as they try and take back the lead.
McLean fires on the corner, and it's incomplete. Deflected, was trying to hit Kalia. 4th and 5, got to have the 30-yard line.
Absolutely. It is do or die for all the nice things that we've said about Angus McLean so far. He's got to make 1 more throw to keep his team in this. Does not have to drive the length of the field, but he does have to convert this 4th down.
Bunch to the bottom of the screen, 1 receiver to the top. Their leading receiver of the day, Robert Merrill, with 8 grabs, is in the backfield at halfback. 4-2 look out of Sioux Falls. McLean on a deep 5-step drop, fires to this near side, caught and out of bounds. What a great play by Saren Storm there to move the chains and stop the clock.
And Saren Storm, probably the most reliable piece of this passing game. Robert Merrill excluded. Makes a nice run on the out route. Great catch. Manages to get out of bounds and stop the clock. fine piece of receiving there by the third-year pro, Soren Storm.
London does have a star kicker, Jack Lewis, hit from 46 today, is 2 for 2, so they need to get to the Sioux Falls 30 to have a shot at the field goal attempt. Do have the one timeout and 55 seconds to work with. Trips tight, man from Sioux Falls. Here's the throw across the middle. That is complete to Storm again, and now they're going to go hurry up.
This would not be a bad time to take a shot down the field. Second and inches. You still have third and inches and even fourth.
McLean, deep drop, going to take that shot right down the middle, and he pays the price. Wrong decision for Angus McLean, and the interception from Jay Ringgold nearly seals the deal that the Sparrows will walk into London and steal a victory.
Last week, Jay Ringgold had an interception in the end zone that basically kept Sioux Falls in their game against Florida last week, and today he makes an interception that might very well ice the game for Sioux Falls in London.
The Sparrows had no points with 3 minutes to go in the fourth. They scored twice on 2 deep shots against a London defense that was prepared mostly to defend the run, a goal line defense that Sioux Falls exploits. The veteran quarterback, Julian Tyree, has had, and we're just going to be fair here, Josh, an abysmal day outside of those 2 throws. He is 11 for 29, 37% completion percentage, 3 interceptions to only the 2 scores, a QBR of 45, but the Sparrows are in victory formation, and they're going to win this game.
And that QBR wasn't single digits for most of the game. So give credit to Julian Tyree for making recognition and making big throws when it mattered. 2 touchdowns, probably the 2 of the best throws of the game. It may have only been the 2 completions that he had downfield. Quite frankly, the way they ran this offense, it's even more impressive that Tyree was able to come up with those big throws at that point in the game.
Yeah, absolutely veteran class to stay poised after throwing 3 picks. He only had 11 completions. You take away the 2 scores, that's 9 completions that weren't touchdowns. An incredible day from Sioux Falls to stay with the London Knights and strike when they needed to. We talked about how little they were throwing down the field the whole game, and then they just got it done when they needed to defeat and really steal a victory from the London Knights.
Stolen, absolutely. This is grand larceny. You look at the way London played as we're watching the interception by Brandon Ewing here. London, maybe they weren't dominant, but they were getting the job done by running, by passing, stopping the run. They had Colin Hart corralled for most of this game, Charlemagne Cornelius as well. But as you said, Andy, when you let a team hang around with just a 2-score differential, you leave opportunities like this to happen. That interception by Terrell Davis, after getting toasted just a play earlier, was absolutely huge. And then here it is, Julian Tyree right on the money, and Gunnar Lewis will take that one to the house. And that's when you knew that Sioux Falls was done messing around. And tasteful end zone celebrations notwithstanding, Sioux Falls got a way to get it done tonight. And my heart bleeds for London, who played well and had the lead for most of this game, but give it up to Sioux Falls for getting it done when it counts.
The Sparrows now have won 2 in a row. They beat Florida last week 24-16. They beat London today 14-13 to improve, to 2-5. The London Knights fall to 3-4. Really, just the 3 minutes at the end of this game was the difference. If you tuned in and missed the full first 3 quarters, you're going to want to scroll back Simulationfl on YouTube to watch those and make sure you get the full picture for just how quickly Sioux Falls was able to strike. They have always been a good team. This year struggling a bit, but 2 wins in a row. And Gunnar Lewis, player of the game with 2 catches, one of them for the touchdown that helped Sioux Falls win the game. It was an incredible back and forth contest between the 2 defenses. Well, for Josh Zirkle, I'm Andy Hamilton. We're going to take a short break and be right back with the SFL post-game show. You've been watching the Simulation Football League. Stay with us.